Hey, I'm Ashley, and today I'm going to show you how to make 8 different projects on your Glowforge for Father's Day. So let's check it out here on Chip Builds. So the material I'm using is 1/8 inch maple plywood, which I can just use the Glowforge preset settings for the medium maple plywood, and it's good to go. So typically when you're working with 1/8 inch material, especially plywood, it is going to be bowed because obviously there's moisture in the air and it just loves to suck it up. The two most common materials I use on the laser is 1/8 inch MDF and 1/8 inch plywood, and so for that I just 3D printed out these little hold downs to keep it in place, and that way it's not bowed up in the machine, but that way it's cutting correctly. And so these just fit in the honeycomb slots just like this, and it will keep it nice in place. If you do want some of these 3D printed hold downs for yourself, I do sell them in my Etsy shop. So overall this is a pretty small project, and so it went really quickly on the laser. Now, one of my absolute favorite tools ever is this little plastic scraper. It's about $10 and it comes with like a bajillion of these little plastic razor blades, and I'll put a link to it down in the description below. But this thing is absolutely perfect for trying to take masking off on any of your projects and even these small little letters. Obviously you could use like painter's tape or gaffer's tape to pull it off, but I just prefer to do this because it like peels it up super quick like nobody's business. I think this one is my favorite design out of the tape measures because I put the little tape measurements down at the bottom, and if you want the files for these, I'll put it in the link down below. They'll be available on my Etsy shop. Okay, so this tape measure is just one I got from Harbor Freight. It's about $4, and I just took the little sticker off the side of it. And we are going to use my absolute favorite glue E6000 to attach the little wooden puck to the base. Now I'm going to be careful and try not to get it too much into the holes. And then I'm going to get the little puck. I'm just going to center it as best as I can. And then you gotta let that dry for about 24 hours. And then you'll be good to go. So the next project in the series is this cute little punny keychain that says "You're the best that I ever saw." I drew out a little saw in Illustrator, and then I chose the font DK Lemon for the words, and it cut out pretty quickly. This project is really good to batch out and sell a bunch of, especially at like a craft fair. So while the tape measure is drying, we can now add the hardware to our keychains. I already added the hardware to this walnut one. Walnut's my absolute favorite kind of wood, and so I love how this one looks. This is the one that I'm going to be giving to my dad for Father's Day. These are both done on maple plywood, and this one has the keyring hole, but on this one I left it. That way, in case you wanted to use this other kind of keychain hardware. I don't super like these because they typically tend to break easily, and so I usually stick with the other ones. But super cute. So the next one, I'm using the jig for these, and I just used a proof grade cut setting to cut out the little rectangles that these metal bottle openers are going to drop into. And so I did make a custom setting for these with 1,000 speed, 100 power, and 450 lines per inch. And I did do 2 passes, and I made sure to use my calipers to get the correct thickness of the bottle opener card. Just that way it was going to be nice and in focus. As you can see, it took roughly an hour to do 4 cards. Okay, so to clean these off, I'm just going to use some isopropyl alcohol, and that will just really help to make sure that we'll get all the residue from the laser off. So you can see all the dirt there that's come off from the the laser. So now we can do the next one. I love how these turned out. These are just super cool and quick, easy gifts, which I love because I always wait till the last minute to make presents for different occasions and for people. So the next thing on the list is this custom flask, and I did the same. I did about 1,000 for the speed, 100 for the power, and 450 lines per inch. Since these are words, I wanted them to be nice and crisp. Now to do this was taller than what the Glowforge could engrave with the crumb tray in it, so I did have to remove it, and I printed out these custom riser blocks. That's really great for propping up these thicker materials to get to the right focus height. Alright, so same thing with this flask. It has a very similar coating to the bottle openers, and so we can see we got that dirt off there, and that's looking awesome. The next item on the list are these custom hammers, and I just got this hammer from Harbor Freight. It's pretty cheap. I just typed out a couple different phrases in Illustrator. Like the first one I did was, "Dad, thank you for helping me build my life." That's a very popular saying that I've seen go around. And I'm going to use one of my favorite fonts called Wensley. It's kind of similar to like Bodoni and Times New Roman font, and I just like how classy it looks. So I'm just getting this the right size, and I drew this template from a hammer. Now the settings I used on the laser for the hammers did pretty good. There's not really any kind of residue, but if there is for this kind of stuff, I like to use baby wipes because they're super cheap and they will clean off any residue that is left over from your laser. So I think these came out really cool too. I like these ones a lot. The next thing on the list is this engraved Zippo lighter. I just did the same settings as the flask. And what's really cool is that this one has like a gold coating underneath the gold, and so it just looks really classy. I didn't get it quite lined up in the center, but overall I still think it looks really cool, and just having the Manchester United logo looks awesome. Also, we're going to use the same technique for the lighter to just make sure all the residue's off. Also for this, I did put a piece of painter's tape on the back to keep it closed. I absolutely did not have any of the inside parts or lighter fluid in here. If you're going to put this in your laser, you need to make sure it's super clean, because otherwise it could just ignite your laser and then you're not going to have a good time. So the last item on the list is this engraving for a custom knife. I just typed out Happy Father's Day 2021, very generic, and I resized it. And again, this is too tall, so no crumb tray, and I just propped it up on these 1, 2, 3 blocks that I have. So the final project on our list for Father's Day gifts are these custom engraved golf tees. These are super cool, and all I did was I cut out the shape of the golf tee, removed that wood, and then I stuck in the golf tees into those empty slots, and it engraved perfectly and in the center each time. Jigs are seriously the laser's best friend. Well, last but not least, we have these little customized golf tees, and I love how they look. And now these are especially, they're so little, so I will just take the baby wipe and just wipe it down to get any of that excess residue off, and you can see we got some off of here. So I just like to do that for each of these. Well, you guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I had a ton of fun making these projects and designing the different files that go along with it. If you want to make any of these projects for yourself, I will have the files listed on my Etsy shop. So go check the description down below if you want to check those out. And happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.